So shalom again. Tzoraim tovim, good afternoon. My name is Aliyah. I work for Nefesh B'Nefesh's post Aliyah team. And I'm joined here with my colleague, Liz Bernstein, who's also on the post Aliyah team. We first want to start with a huge mazal tov and welcome to all the new olim who just arrived. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, excellent, great. So good afternoon and shalom to those who wrote here in the chat in Ariel and Tel Aviv and Alon Shvut, and wherever your new homes are here in Israel. We wish you the best new beginning and settling in well here in Israel. We're the post Aliyah team. Liz just put in the chat how you can get in touch with us. You all had an Aliyah advisor that helped and assisted you with the entire process and way in getting here to Israel and starting with this new beginning. And from now on, you can reach out to us, the post Aliyah team. We work a little differently. We don't assign an advisor, a specific advisor, because you're post Aliyah now for life, and you can have a question the day after your Aliyah or a decade after your Aliyah. It doesn't matter. You can really feel free to be in touch. We have a phone line that we answer 9 to 3, Sunday through Thursday. The number is *3680, or you can email us at answers@nbn.org.il, and that's what we do, and that's what we're here for, to answer any post Aliyah questions regarding your rights, benefits, life here, anything you come across or anything that we can assist with. So you can really feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to hear from you. Yes, I see someone asked here about recording for the Zoom. The Zoom is being recorded and will be sent out to everyone who signed up for the Zoom today. So you can feel free to, you'll get the recording, but also we're going to go over a lot of information of the next few steps. You can really feel free. I know it's going to be a lot of information, but any step along the way, just feel free to reach out to us by phone, email, and we'll be happy to, go over anything again or, help with these details. So I'm going to share my screen with the post Aliyah guide. Just one second. Okay. I hope you can all see my screen. This is the post Aliyah guide. You might have received it already. Liz will also put the link in the chat box so you can follow. And we're gonna go over the next few steps, and if there's any questions, you can either unmute yourself or ask here. We'll try to stop between the different parts, or you can also put your question in the chat and Liz will be answering the questions over there as well. So happy to take any questions. So again, Mazal Tov and welcome. I see it's nice to see some familiar faces here from the flight on Wednesday. I see I met some of you at the airport on Wednesday when you arrived. I hope everybody had a restful Shabbat and are settling in. Okay, so this is our post Aliyah guide, which really tries to summarize and put together all the details of the next few steps in settling. Setting different things up. The first page is an Ole glossary, kind of like a Milon, a Hebrew dictionary with different terms you're probably going to be using a lot. Bituach Leumi, the National Insurance Institute, the Sal Klita, Sefach Teudat Zehut, the different government offices. So every now and then, if you have to go back to really kind of familiarize yourself with these terms, it's all over here to kind of help. These terms appear a lot in the guide, and we'll be addressing some of them as we go along. You all arrived in Ben Gurion Airport, and you should have received the following things from Misrad HaKlita. When you met with the representatives, Misrad HaKlita is the Ministry of Aliyah and Integration that greet the Olim in the airport, and you should have received your Teudat Ole, which looks like a blue passport. It says on it Teudat Ole and would have had your photo in it. There's one Teudat Ole per family. So you would have had all your details in this one booklet. This is like your Ole ID. It would have your photo in it. Your Teudat Zehut number is marked over there on top. That's your ID number for life. It stays with you. It should have your arrival info and other dates. Again, this Teudat Ole I'm referring to for people who made Aliyah with the status of an Ole. If there is someone here who is a Katin Choser or a former A1 or an Ezrach Ole in any one of those statuses, you may have not received some of these things at the airport because your process is a little different. And we'll address also some of those things just so we know. Are there people here is there anyone here who's a former A1 on the Zoom today? Please put that in the chat, or if you're a Katin Choser or Ezrach Ole, just let us know in the chat. So you would have received the Teudat Oleh. You should have received your healthcare registration form. You were asked to choose one of your healthcare providers. We have 4 healthcare providers here in Israel: Leumit, Maccabi, Meuchedet, and Clalit. You had to choose that before you arrived, and you would have received at the airport a note with your registration on it. You also should have received your first cash payment for your Sal Klita. A note of future bank account, which is something you'll take to the bank when you open your account, and also an Israeli SIM card to get started with some of your, to have a local number. And you should have received all those things. Okay, so I'm just checking. We have Ezrach Oleh, Tin Choser. Okay. All right, so thank you. Okay, so if you're a Katin Choser or someone who was a previous A1, you don't receive these things at the airport, the Teudat Zakaut. You will receive them at your appointment at Misrad HaKlita. We're going to get to that shortly. If you're in Ezrach Oleh, you should have received the Teudat Zakaut at the airport. It's similar to Teudat Oleh, it's just called a Teudat Zakaut because you already have some Israeli background or history there. Okay, so everybody should have received these documents at the airport. If there's something here that you didn't receive, please let us know. Liz, I'll also say, if you see something in the chat that we should, stop and address, feel free to, stop me. So those are all the things you should have received at the airport, and obviously your cab to your first destination, to your new home. So the first step really of setting things up is getting your Israeli ID. Israeli ID, it's called here a Teudat Zehut. It is a document, an ID that is issued to any individual over the age of 16. Okay, children under the age of 16 appear on their parents' Teudat Zehut with their ID numbers and birth dates, and it's part of the parents' Teudat Zehut. And when someone turns 16 here, they get their own. So to book your Teudat Zehut, your Israeli ID, you need to book an appointment at Misrad HaPnim. Misrad HaPnim is also called the Population and Immigration Authority. So you see the logo is right over here. The best way to book those appointments are to go on the website as myvisit.com. You'll have to enter your Teudat Zehut number, so you should have that handy, and an Israeli cell phone number. And you can look at different branches depending on where you live, also how flexible you are to try other branches, to travel to other branches. And you're going to go you're going to look for the appointment for issuing a biometric Teudat Zehut, your first ID card. What you'll need to bring to this appointment, before I go over what you'll need to bring to the appointment, I'll just say that maybe some of you have already gone onto the site. First of all, the Misrad HaPnim had their end of summer forced vacation last week, so most of the branches were closed. They're back in business already this week. So if you went on last week, it could be that you didn't see any available appointments. It also could be that you go on now this afternoon and don't see anything till January, December, January, February. You don't book those appointments. You will be able to find something sooner. The thing with My Visit is that it changes all the time. They open appointments daily. This morning we went on, Yerushalayim had appointments open for today. So it really is something that's worth to keep checking to find a close appointment. And so don't book something far in advance, because if you book something for later, like January or February, you're blocked on the system. And if you saw something for tomorrow, you can't book it until you cancel what you already have scheduled. So I really recommend looking on the site. You should be able to find something this week or next week. If someone can't find or needs any of our assistance, please send us an email that you'd like our help with booking these appointments. I see from some of the names here on the Zoom and some people were already in the works of your appointments, and hopefully we'll have detailed times later today. So that's for people who we've already been in touch with. Just be in touch with us if you need our help to get you something. So we do have some good connections in some of the branches who are really happy to assist Olim, because this is obviously an important document to get. It's also important when you book this appointment that you book an appointment for, it has to be one appointment per person. If it's a couple, you need to book 2 appointments. If you have someone over the age of 16, then you have to also book an appointment for them. So to just make sure, so in order for them to serve you at the appointment, you have to have an appointment for each person who needs it. Children under the age of 16 do not need to attend this appointment or come with you for this. So that's about Misrad Apnim. Also, just a few important things about what to bring to this appointment. It is very important to bring all the documents you submitted for your Aliyah, meaning all the birth certificate and apostilles and marriage certificate and your proof of Judaism and all the things that you submitted. Your foreign passport that has your Aliyah visa is very, very important. Everything you received at the airport at Misrad HaKlita, that folder, envelope, whatever you got, bring everything in there as well. And also 2 passport photos. The reason we strongly recommend and advise to bring 2 passport photos is because when you go to this appointment, they're going to take your photo to issue a biometric Teudat Zehut. They take your photo there on their machines that go onto their computers. And the biometric Teudat Zehut can take about 2 weeks to arrive in the mail after this appointment. 2 weeks, maybe a little longer, depends how backed up they are. Now, if you bring 2 passport photos to this appointment, they will issue you a temporary Teudat Zehut on the spot, which is like a laminated card with your photo and all your details. It will have an expiration date of about 8 months, and it will allow you, again, only if you bring them photos and ask for this, they will issue you a temporary Teudat Zehut, which will mean you'll be able to walk out of this appointment, hopefully this week or next week, and go to the bank and go about all the other, errands and arrangements and things that you have to do. You can do when you have, with that temporary Teudat Zehut. If you don't bring the photos, they won't do that, and then you'll just have to wait in the mail for the biometric one to arrive. Another thing you're going to receive about Teudat Zehut is they're going to give you a blue piece of paper with a code on it. That's your individual code that when they're going to deliver it to you, you'll have to give the delivery person that code. If you're not home or they attempt delivery and they can't reach you, then they're going to put it in the local doar. Doar is the Israeli post office. They're going to put it in the local branch in your neighborhood. And if it's not picked up from there and you're supposed to get notice about it by an SMS, that it was, that they couldn't reach you, that it's in the post office. Also to the post office, you'll have to bring that code with you. And it's going to be in the post office for about 2-3 weeks. And after that, if it's not picked up from there, it will be returned to sender. Return to sender means it would be sent back to the branch it was issued in. So if you issued it in Haifa, it'll be back in Haifa, and it will just sit there until you come and pick it up. So it doesn't get lost on the way, but that's just, the way it travels, and hopefully you'll be able to get it in one of those ways. The last thing I'll say, and also on that blue piece of paper you're going to get with the code, there is also going to be a tracking number, meaning if you didn't get an SMS and it's been more than a week after your appointment, you'll have a tracking number on that page. It's a long number that starts with an RR, and then you can go on to the Israeli Post Office website, also in English, under tracking mail, put in that number, and it will tell you attempted delivery, it's in the post office, it was returned to sender. It will help you keep track of where it is. If you go on and it says there's no information about this item, don't be worried or nervous. It means it wasn't sent out yet. It didn't leave the branch. It wasn't sent out. It's not en route yet. So just important to hold on to that blue piece of paper that you're going to get at the appointment. And the last thing of Teudat Zehut, before I open it up for questions, is the last piece about the biometric Teudat Zehut, when you get it, is that it needs to be activated. Okay, it doesn't, once you receive it, you have to just remember to activate it. They usually send an SMS about 24 to 48 hours after you physically received it that will tell you to respond with a 1 to activate it. So that's, you just respond with a 1. There's not usually a response back, but it activates it. And if you don't get that SMS, there's a way to activate it online, or one can walk into any Misrad Apnim branch in the country and just without an appointment and just ask them to activate it. So those are really the important pieces about activating Teudat Zehut. I'm going to stop now and see if anyone has questions about the Misrad Apnim appointment and issuing the Teudat Zehut. Does anyone have a question? Yeah. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you said for Katin Choser, I think you said that I was supposed to get a Teudat Zakaut at the airport. Is that right?
And Ezra Chole, I think, gets it at the airport. Katin Choser, you might have to go to Misrad Apnim.
Okay, great. So the fact that I didn't get it isn't worth worrying about? Fantastic. And I obviously don't need it for the Misrad Pnim.
No, for Misrad Pnim, you're a Katin Choser, right? You have to go and issue a Teudat Zehut before your appointment at Misrad Klita. So everything we just went over for Pnim is relevant, okay? To go and issue your Teudat Zehut.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you get anything at the airport or nothing at all?
Nothing at all.
Okay. Any other questions about Teudat Zehut?
Hello? Yeah. I was just I'm an Ezra Choleh, but I was just included on the Teudat Oleh. Like there was a page for me in the Teudat Oleh. What is that enough, or do I need?
Yeah, that's fine because you're a family. Does it say you're an Ezra Choleh on that side, on your side of the page?
I don't know.
I'll check.
Okay. It probably says you're an Ezra Choleh.
No, but I'm saying, so it's only if you're a single who's an Ezra Choleh, then you get a
you would have gotten a Teudat Zakaut if you were single and arriving on your own as an Ezra Choleh.
Okay,
however, you're part of a family unit, and Teudat Oleh are as a family. I assume your wife is in Olah with no Israeli background.
Yeah.
So it probably says on your side of the page that you're an Ezra Choleh.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
It does? Okay.
It does.
Okay, great. Any other questions about Misrad Pnim and your Teudat Zehut?
Yes. What are the specifications for a passport photo? Is it standard 2x2?
So because it's for your temporary Teudat Zehut, for the permanent one, they're taking your photos there. It doesn't really matter if it's an American size, Israeli size, just whatever passport photo you have should be fine.
Yeah.
And if you're going to get a passport photo in one of the photo shops here in Israel, just ask for Tmunat Pasport. That's what it's called in Hebrew, Tmunat Pasport. And then they're less, it doesn't really matter the size if it's Israeli or American because it's
Mr.
Second
Fax, I
question
put
was-
all the specifications in the chat also, just in case you wanted it. But like Elisa said, they probably want to.
Yeah, they're not
Thank you.
not strict with that for this.
I have a second question. If appointments at the Misrad Pnim pop up and then disappear so quickly, how likely is it that they will have two adjacent appointments for myself and my wife?
So it's a good question. It depends also, like you're right, they go very, very fast. There's a lot of demand for appointments. However, sometimes you go on in the morning and they open the entire day or an entire afternoon, and then you have enough time to really book 2 appointments. And if that's not the case and they keep disappearing and you're stuck, or you only, then let us know, and we'll also be happy to assist you. When you email us asking for our help with Misrad Pnim, it's helpful if you tell us where you live, meaning which branch would be convenient, and also if you're flexible with traveling, if you have a car or someone who can take you, that helps us also expand the options of appointments. So let us know if that's okay. If you need our help, let us know.
Thank
I have
you.
a question.
Sure.
Can someone else pick up the passport from the post office if they have the code, if we're not
The
around?
Teudat Zehut, not passport. Can someone pick up the Teudat Zehut?
Yes.
Yes, if they have that, if they have your code, they will probably be able to pick it up. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question as well. I was actually able to get an appointment today, but I had an issue with the address on my ID. It was incorrect. It was like a previous address that I was supposed to be living at. So do you know how I can go about changing that? And can I do that at the same appointment that I get at Misrad Klita later?
So first of all, just to separate, Misrad Pnim is the Ministry of Interior, and they deal with everything that's related to being a citizen here. Your Teudat Zehut, your passport, your address, your family status, marital status, all those things. Misrad Klita only deals with Aliyah benefits and things. So, they won't deal with your change of address, Misrad Klita. Okay, what's important is what's on your Teudat Zehut. So first of all, Ethan, thanks for bringing this up because it's a really important point. When you go and issue your temporary Teudat Zehut, they're going to issue you the temporary one, which is a laminated card. Take your photo there for the biometric, and they give this blue folded piece of paper with your Teudat Zehut. It's called a sefach. Sefach means like an addendum. And that piece of paper has your information, and it has your address, your marital status. If you have children under the age of 16, they're going to appear on that. And anything that were to change, which could be address, marital status, children, things like that, then you would go to Misrad Pnim, make that change, and then they would reissue the blue piece of paper, the sefach, So if you moved, you have to update them and then get a new piece of paper. Always keep that paper with the Teudat Zehut. They don't issue a new card every time you make changes like that. But it is important, before you leave Misrad HaPnim, take a minute to sit down there on one of their benches and just look over everything that it's correct to save you to go back. Meaning, check that the Hebrew spelling of your name is the way you want it, your last name, your first name, that the birthday is correct, that the address, the building, the apartment, make sure those things are correct before you leave, because then they can correct it for you on the spot over there and reissue whatever they need to reissue. In your case, you'll have to go back to Misrad HaPnim to change your address. It's not something you need an appointment for change of address. You should be able to walk into Misrad HaPnim, tell them you only need a change of address, okay? And then they'll reprint that sefach, that blue piece of paper with the address on it. In the future, you can do some of these things online. However, online, you can only do once a year an address change. And as Olim, you're already doing a first change by this first appointment. Okay, Ethan, so just go back to any one of the branches to change your address. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
What proof is needed for address?
At this point, as first address, they don't really ask for things. When you come and change it, they might ask for some proof, a contract, a bill. They might. They don't always, but they might ask you for that when you change it.
Okay, and if we didn't get a Teudat Oleh at the airport, can we still get the Teudat Zehut without it?
Yes. Okay. And what's your statuses? Remind me. I know we spoke about it on Wednesday, but remind me.
Karine made Aliyah 10 years ago, and
it's like a return. Okay, and you? And
so I should be added to her Teudat Olah, but her Teudat Olah has ceased to exist.
So you'll right. So you'll deal with Misrad HaKlita. Issuing a Teudat Zehut doesn't affect that statuses. Okay. So that's for Teudat Zehut. I'll just add, since we're talking about address, you should know that as you know, we're going to another election here in Israel. You're all new voters. The voting ballot registration closes on September 8th, meaning whatever address is listed by September 8th, that's the address of the location of where you're going to be voting. So if you make any address changes, before the 8th, that's what goes on it. And if you didn't change it, it's going to go according to the address that they have on record for where you go vote. We'll talk about elections at the end. Just another point about address. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my appointment this morning and I got my Teudat Zehut, and I noticed on the bus ride back, I got my address right, but they switched around it's a two-word address. The name is David Elazar, and they switched it around. My roommate said that that's how the address is registered with the post office, but that's not what it says on the street. And that's not, how it is with Misrad HaPnim apparently. So should I worry about that and get that switched or not? He says that he told me that it shouldn't be a problem for them sending it to us.
I suggest send us a copy of your sefach with that address and we can check. Sometimes, they really have to go, the address and everything is like computerized based on things that are the way they're registered in Misrad HaPnim. So it's worth just checking if that's how it appears in the registry. Okay, and that's, how it was listed, or is it something that needs changing? So if you want us to look into that specifically, feel free to send us an email with your sefach and your contact info for us to look into it. In which city?
Givat Shmuel.
Okay, sure. Givat Shmuel. So we can check how it appears and to see if it's something that's a significant change or that's how it appears.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Besada? All right. Okay, so feel free to continue putting questions in the chat. Stop me for anything. We're going to move on to the next step. Okay, so assuming now everybody knows how to get their Israeli Teudat Zehut and hopefully got it. The second step is opening a bank account. Okay, as Olim, one of the benefits is getting the Sal Klita, the monetary benefit from Misrad HaKlita. Some of you, as Olim, got the first cash payment at the airport, and then the rest is going to be divided up into 6 payments that will go into your account. They only transfer this money into an Israeli account, so it has to be an Israeli active account, and that's why this here is step 2, before you go to Misrad HaKlita to open your account. If you're married, it needs to be a joint Israeli account. And it needs to be an active account, meaning even if it has 20 shekels, 50 shekels, something in it that shows that it's an active account. So if you got at the airport that letter that of the opening bank account statement, that's what you'll bring to the bank, and they will fill out that information, and that's what you're going to take. If you didn't get it, just make sure that you get some printout from the bank with all your bank details on it that has your name, your Teudat Zehut, your bank information, and all that as an official document to take to Misrad HaKlita. Now, it's important to note that opening an account is a long appointment, and therefore many of the banks require an appointment instead of a walk-in for this type of thing because it takes longer and there's a lot of documents and things to sign. There are different banks here. It's worth checking with neighbors, friends, whoever you want to see if there's any recommendations of banks. We have heard from Olim that it can take a while to get some appointments, that there's some, sometimes it takes a few weeks to get an appointment. You can either try another bank or, wait to get that appointment. For this appointment, you're going to have to bring with you your Teudat Oleh, your Teudat Zehut, your passport from the country, your US passport or your Canadian passport, some shekels to put into the account. If you're a US citizen, you're going to have to provide your social security number and complete a W-9 form. And what you're going to get from this appointment at the end is really the bank account information. It's really worth checking with them. A lot of banks have, their online banking to get all the info about, how to use their services. Unlike America, I believe, banks here are different. There are fees for different actions you do in your account, for withdrawing, for putting in money, all that stuff. Ask all your questions when you meet with the bank so you understand what you're being charged for and how it works. Like I said, it's important to really just make sure that the account has a few shekels in it and to make sure you get the official letter from the bank with your account information. Okay. What else about banking? We do recommend here, if you're not familiar, as far as like banking or financial stuff, there's a great website and group called Living Financially Smarter in Israel that is worth really looking into, and especially if you have any specific questions about bank or money or things here. And I think that's it about banks. Are there any questions? I'll just add that if you already have, sometimes people ask, if I already have an account, because I've been here many times and I already have an account, can I use that account? The answer is yes, you just need to transfer it to an Israeli account, meaning giving the bank your Teudat Zehut and having it switched under your Teudat Zehut number and not your passport number.
So I'll just say that for people who are living in Beit Shemesh, Ramat Beit Shemesh area, I have been told that I'm not promoting it because I don't have the experience to, but Pagi Bank apparently will open an account before you have your Teudat Zehut, as long as you have a Teudat Oleh. So for those who are waiting to get their Misrad HaPnim appointment, that might be a good option for you.
Thank you, Liz. Any other questions about bank?
Hi. Can we open a joint bank account on my Teudat Zehut without my husband's Teudat Zehut yet?
It's going to need to have his Teudat Zehut on it.
Okay. Don't have the Teudat Oleh?
Oh, if you don't have the Teudat Oleh, then just go with your Teudat Zehut. When you have your Teudat Zehut.
That would suffice, the Teudat Zehut?
It should be okay, and they might ask you to bring your Teudat Oleh afterwards later on. If you really run into issues, because the reason, it's not going to help that the account only has your wife's, because the benefit is really because you're the Oleh.
Yeah.
So if you run into any trouble with that, then I would say, go ahead to Misrad HaKlita, get all that sorted, and then, you'll have to go back to Misrad HaKlita with bank information after that if you really get stuck and need the Teudat Oleh. Sometimes it depends on the banks.
I see.
Okay.
Okay, but if we both have the Teudat Zehut, then there's a reasonable chance that we will be
You should be able to open the account. And like I said, if they really require the Teudat Oleh, then go to get the Teudat Oleh from Misrad HaKlita and then go to the bank.
Right. I think somebody wrote that Lou and me opened without
Teudat Zehut?
Yeah. They said for Olim, like new Olim.
So I'll just explain about that. Like according to the law, Teudat Oleh is supposed to be enough for banks to open an account for Olim. that's the official, Teudat Oleh should be enough, and many banks open it and then tell you they probably told you within a month or so, bring us your Teudat Zehut. However, some banks, we hear a lot from people that some banks are requiring the physical Teudat Zehut. So it's really up to you. If you want to go ahead and try and open with your Teudat Oleh, go ahead. If you want to wait to get your Teudat Zehut, then you're fully set and covered. Then, unfortunately, even though that's, the requirement, some banks do require the Teudat Zehut as well. Okay, so I'm going to move on now after you, from the next step, okay? You open the bank account. We're going to move to the next step, Misrad HaKlita. There is, I think there's some noise from someone's, if you could just, if you're not asking a question, if you could just be on Zoom, so because of the noise, thank you. Okay. All right, so the next step is Misrad Aliyah VaKlita. Misrad Aliyah VaKlita is the Ministry of Aliyah and Integration. This is the ministry that's in charge and responsible for all your rights and benefits as Olim. And you have to have this appointment with them in order to activate your benefits and to get everything sorted and set up. So first of all, before we go into the details of the appointment, how do you book this appointment? A first appointment with Misrad HaKlita needs to be booked either by phone or email. In the future, you can use My Visit to book future appointments. You're also assigned to an Aliyah HaKlita advisor through this ministry. In many cases, you can't book the first appointment on My Visit, so I recommend emailing or calling them. Also, unlike Misrad HaPnim that we talked about, you can't just go to any branch. Misrad HaKlita works according to your address. You are assigned to a specific branch based on your address in your Teudat Zehut. If you live in Yerushalayim, you're under Misrad HaKlita in Yerushalayim only. And that's the branch you're looking to book an appointment. If you're in Tel Aviv, Bet Shemesh has its own Bet Shemesh. So it's really according to the address. I'm just scrolling down just so you see, I think it's on page 11. I just want you to see where it is. We put together a list here, page 11, a list of all the branches in the country. When you look at page 11 in our guide, it has the list of the branches, their address, how to contact them by phone, okay? And also which cities it serves. For example, Be'er-Sheva serves a variety of cities, Be'er-Sheva, Yerucham, Mitzpeh Ramon, Meitar, Omer. So it really has your list that will help you see according to where you live, which branch to contact. Here are the phone numbers. And if you go over here to our links, also emails, the email addresses that you can find. Basically, you'd be contacting Misrad HaKlita. If you're emailing them, hi, this is my Teudat Zehut. I made Aliyah on this date. When can I come in for an appointment? There might be branches that are reaching out to you already directly because they have the information that you made Aliyah. I'll also say that branches like Tel Aviv, for example, do take longer to get the appointments. They're the busiest branch, I think, of Misrad HaKlita. Yerushalayim a little. Might also have a bit of a wait. All the other branches should probably go faster, but it's just important to, you can reach out once you have your Teudat Zehut and bank to reach out to set up the appointment with them. Again, I'll also say here, like I've said, if there's a long delay, you don't get any response, they're not contacting you, they're not calling you back, please let us know. So that's about booking the appointment. You'll call, email, you'll set up a time, you'll be meeting with an advisor, and they will go over all your rights and benefits. What you need to bring to this appointment is all listed here on our page. You'll need to bring your Teudat Oleh if you have one, if you received one, your Teudat Zehut, the letter from the bank, okay, with the bank statement. If you're a Katin Choser or Ezrach Oleh, bring your Israeli passport with you. And what you're going to get is they're going to set up your Sal Klita. They'll tell you when to expect those payments, the 6-month payments that you're going to get of your Sal Klita. When in the month, it arrives in your bank account, they'll set that up for you. I'll just say about this benefit, the Sal Klita money, it's important to note that if you will be out of the country at any point during the time that you're receiving the Sal Klita, the money stops when you leave Israel, even if it's one of the even if it's one of you in a couple, it stops when you're out of the country and it will reinstate itself when you get back. You're not losing the money or missing out on any of the payments. They just don't pay when an Oleh physically is not in the country. It just means it will be divided up a little differently throughout the year in different payments because it's only, again, when you're in the country. So they'll set up the Sal Klita. If you already know which ulpan you want to attend, they'll help you set that up with the voucher. If you don't know which ulpan, they're the best people to tell you which ulpanim are available in your area, in your city, and how to register for them. Other helpful advice or things that they have available in your cities and your towns, information about, the customs benefit, customs file, all those types of things they'll set up. If you're a mishpachat olim, this is where you'll get your teudat oleh or be added to a previous teudat oleh. There's some other information here. Also, if you're a katin chozer, you might have to submit a few other documents and bring with you photos, because they're going to issue your teudat zakaut and tell you what you're eligible for at this appointment. Okay. So this is about Misrad HaKlita. Like I said, if you're a former A1 or a katin chozer that wasn't already set up with their healthcare, this is where they're going to register you for your healthcare. Okay, any questions about Misrad HaKlita?
Yeah, so my husband is an Ezra Ola, and he wasn't issued a passport at the consulate.
Because of the labor strike or whatever.
Right, but you have a letter about that, right?
What?
You have like a note or letter about that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Bring that with you.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I was wondering which branch would be the one for Ariel, because I was looking in the back and I didn't see Ariel listed.
Ariel isn't listed? I'll look it up for you and tell you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the background.
I just want to make sure before.
I'm looking it up right now, Elisa. I'll take care
Okay,
of it.
Liz is looking it up and she'll write to you which branch is the one that Ariel goes to. Okay, great. Any other questions about Misrad HaKlita? So you're going to meet with an advisor that's your advisor. Even if you don't know which ulpan you want now and you want to contact your advisor in a few months from now or later on, you'll be able to, you'll get their contact info to be in touch with them later on for any benefit related things that are specifically through this government office. Okay, so that's...
Question might be too specific, but do you think within a single appointment we would be able to replace a lost teudat olah or get a new teudat olah and do all of the first meeting items?
Yes. So first of all, here you make one appointment per family and you go together. Both of you go on the same appointment. It's not like Misrad HaPnim that you have to have an appointment per person. Where do you live? Remind me.
Herzliya, Tel Aviv.
Herzliya, Tel Aviv. So it's Misrad HaKlita in Tel Aviv. Yes, they should be able to do it. If you would like us to help you give them like a heads up, send me an email, okay? And we'll just let them know. First of all, if they can assist you with an appointment, because Tel Aviv does have a wait. So to see if they can assist you with an appointment, and also to check exactly like what's their protocol. They should have something on record for, her teudat oleh, but we can give them a heads up that she doesn't have the teudat oleh and that you need a new one.
If it's
Okay,
lost,
so send me an email so I
to,
remember to do that.
Sure.
if it's lost, you need to bring, if it's lost, you need to bring one passport photo for each of you. So when they give you a replacement document, they have your pictures. Okay, and bring, of course, an ID like passport, teudat zehut, or something for each of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Okay, so I'm moving on after Misrad HaKlita to the next thing on our list here is Kupat Cholim.
There are some questions in the chat.
What?
There are some questions in the chat about Misrad HaKlita.
About Misrad HaKlita. Liz, are you on those questions? Is there anything? Okay, so Liz will be responding to the questions in the chat, and if anything should be brought up here, feel free to stop me. Kupat Cholim, as I said, here in Israel, we have 4 healthcare providers, Leumit, Meuchedet, Maccabi, and Klalit. You chose your Kupat Cholim already before you arrived. If you're in the status of an Oleh and received, with no Israeli background, and received at Misrad HaKlita at the airport, the note of your Kupat Cholim registration, if it's already been a few days since you arrived, say give it like, 5 days since you arrived, you should be already automatically registered, and you can go ahead and contact your Kupa directly to get your membership card. It means if you're in Maccabi, you can go to the Maccabi branch in your neighborhood, to the Maccabi clinic, the local one, and go with your and go with that note that you have that has your what you registered for, and you can receive your membership card. You don't need the physical Teudat Zehut for this because you've already been registered based on your Teudat Zehut number and information, and you have that note that you were approved and registered for this. So this you can go ahead and do. You don't have to wait for the physical ID card if you don't have it. You're still, covered. So you can contact them for this. It is important to note that the basic healthcare coverage you don't pay for the first 6 months. Okay, after 6 months you'll start paying Bituach Leumi, the National Insurance Institute, that also has payments for the healthcare here that allows you to be on the healthcare system, but you'll learn more about that closer to month 6. And also, if anyone starts working here in Israel with an Israeli paycheck, you're automatically paying for this through your paycheck, just like any Israeli citizen. Every Kupat Cholim also offers additional supplemental healthcare, which is for paying a certain amount of money per month, not a lot, and it's really worth hearing about this from the Kupat Cholim and signing up. You can really expand your healthcare coverage as far as, specialists and pharmacies and medicine and different things like that. So if you want to sign up for that, the reason we put it over here as step 4 is because if you want to sign up for supplemental healthcare, you need an Israeli bank account to set up those payments to add that supplemental coverage. And as Olim, you have this benefit that if you sign up for supplemental healthcare within 90 days of your Aliyah, you automatically get on that level, on that supplemental healthcare, and there's no waiting period. As Israeli citizens, you can always switch your kupa, or you can, switch the level you're in, but there are certain time frames where it goes into effect, and there's, we have all this listed on our site. If you switch by a certain date, it goes into effect, by a certain date, and there are some waiting periods between those things. But here as Olim, if you sign up within 90 days of your Aliyah, you go directly onto the supplemental healthcare immediately that you chose and that you want. So that's about healthcare. When you go to your local clinic for your Kupat Cholim, I recommend that you ask them to spend a few minutes with you to just let you know how to navigate their system. Every one of these Kupot Cholim have websites, have apps. There's a lot of things you can do through the apps or online, as far as, referrals or appointments or different things, and ask them to help you navigate so you know what's in your neighborhood, which pharmacies they work with, where they'll English-speaking doctors, whatever it is that you need, ask them to give you some orientation to your Kupat Cholim so that, you can really know how to use it when you need to. Any questions about Kupat Cholim?
So there's no specific branch. You can really just walk into any clinic. Like I'm signed up for a Meuchadet, so I can go to any Meuchadet in Yerushalayim and they'll take care of this.
You should be able to walk into any Meuchadet clinic, right?
Okay.
Go to the one in your neighborhood or one of the main ones. They have their main one in the center of town. Haturim is like their biggest, headquarters in Yerushalayim. But yeah, you can also go to one of the local ones in your neighborhood and you should be able to get your membership card over there.
Okay, great.
Okay. So again, you run into any trouble, anything, just drop us an email, give us a call, and we'll try our best to assist.
If one needs healthcare before one's able to register with one's Kupat Cholim, does one have to go private, or is there a retroactive way of doing it?
So it depends. If you're a returning citizen, a Toshav Chazer, then you're not covered by the healthcare system at the moment. You have to reinstate your residency, and then there's a certain waiting period to get on it. If it's a different status, like Katin Choser or Ole or something of that sort, then you should be able to get retro. And you should be covered. However, send us an email with specifics and we'll, make sure of that.
Thank you.
Okay. Like I said, it depends on your status. Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is a too off-topic question, but if a doctor in the States recommended a doctor in Israel, I had looked them up online. How do you know if they're affiliated with a specific Kupat Cholim or they're private? What is that?
You should be able to look that up on online under by Googling that doctor. Sometimes it would say. You can check with your Kupa, you can go into the Kupat Cholim website or their apps. If it's a family doctor or something else.
Yeah,
what?
The doctor, the maskirut, the reception at the doctor's office.
Or call that doctor's office and you can ask.
Sometimes the doctor's affiliated with more than one kupa as well, so it's good to check.
Right. Toda. Okay. All right, so I'd say those are really the very, very important first few steps to sort out, like now in the beginning, getting your Israeli ID card, open a bank account, go to Misrad HaKlita, and make sure you're on the healthcare system and have your membership card. Those are really the most important things to do over the next, few weeks to have those, sorted, because that will allow you to really move on. The rest of the things we're going to go over have more of a time frame for them. Okay, it could be after you do those, but it is important to know about them, and that's why we're going to go over them, at least so you have the information about them and you can, get to it when is more convenient for you. Step 5 here is something called the monthly child benefit. In Hebrew, it is called Kitzbat Yeladim. Okay, every Israeli here is under the National Insurance Institute, the Bituach Leumi. If you're working in Israel, it goes out of your Israeli paycheck, being part of the National Insurance Institute. If not, you have to start setting up payments after 6 months. And there's a lot of things that go under Bituach Leumi. Like I said, one of them allows you to be on the healthcare system. However, every Israeli here receives money monthly called Kitzbat Yeladim for children under the age of 18. It will appear in your bank account under Kitzbat Yeladim. It is not something you need to set up. Technically, it's supposed to go automatically. After you went to Misrad HaKlita and gave them your bank account information, they transfer that information to Bituach Leumi, and you should start receiving about a few weeks or a month after you went to Misrad HaKlita, you should start receiving Kitzbat Yeladim in your account. We have, if you go onto our page for Kitzbat Yeladim on our website, you'll be able to see what the amounts are depending on how many children you have under the age of 18, so you know what to expect. But that is something that you should you should start receiving. If it's been 2 months and you haven't received it, then contact us. There's a form to fill out, but that's really only in case that it didn't go through automatically like it should. So just be aware of it and be on the lookout for it. Okay, in addition to that, there is also something called a Tuchnit Chisachon Lekol Yeled. Liz, do you wanna mention the Tuchnit Chisachon?
Yes, I'm sorry, I just posted it without a V. It's the savings plan is also through Bituach Leumi, and basically 50 shkalim is deducted from your monthly child benefits per child, and then you have the option of matching that with another 50 shekel deducted, so that up to 100 shekel is deducted every month. And it's a growing savings plan for each of your children, and you can read more about it in the link that I just sent here. But there are certain points where I believe the first time you can open it up is at age 18, but if you wait till age 21, then it's a little bit longer, then it's a little bit more money, and it's under their names, and it's a way of saving money for each of your children without really feeling it. It's being deducted from money that the government is giving you in any case. Enjoy.
Okay, thank you. As I said, this is something for any Israeli citizen, not Olim related. It's something to be aware of. The next step here is school registration. I don't know of the Olim here with children in elementary school or high school. Registration for schools, if you is through your municipality, through the Chinuch, the education department. Many municipalities have an Olim coordinator that works for the municipality, and their job is to assist Olim. And therefore, I really recommend being in touch with them. If you haven't been in touch or they haven't reached out to them, there's one in Gush Etzion and in Bet Shemesh and in Tel Aviv and in Yerushalayim. And a lot of cities have this position of an Olim coordinator that can really assist you locally on municipal issues. If anyone does need help with registering for school, you can feel free to email us at education@nbn.org.il if you need our assistance with that. And behatzlacha, good luck to all the children in the new school year. So that's about school registration. Step 7 is the Arnona discount, a really great Olim benefit. Unfortunately, I know there's someone here who's a Katin Choser. Unfortunately, Ktinim Chosrim are not eligible for this benefit, but all the other Olim statuses do receive this benefit. Arnona is a municipal tax. It is an amount that you have to pay the municipality Depends on where in the city you live and the size of your apartment. There's a certain, charge, and it is something. It's a bill that comes out, once a year, but it is divided throughout the year. The payments of it, the arnona. As olim, you have a really great discount, which could be up to 90% discount for that arnona. And the discount is paid for for places up to 100 meters. If your place that you own or are renting is more than 100 meters, the discount will be for the first 100 meters, and beyond that, you'd be paying the regular fare. This benefits time frame is a benefit that you can use for 1 out of your first 2 years, meaning it's a benefit for 12 months out of your first 24. You can either set it up now, set it up next year, but don't miss out on this benefit. It goes away after that, after the 2-year time frame, and it's a really, really great benefit. Basically, how to apply for the arnona is mostly through the municipality. I think almost every municipality has this stuff online ever since COVID, so you don't even have to go in to do it in most cases. You'd go onto your municipality's website under arnona discounts. There's usually a list of different eligibilities for discounts. You look for the Ole Chadash form, and usually what you need to submit is a copy of your Teudat Ole, your Teudat Zehut, a 12-month contract, or if you own the place, then proof of ownership. And then they will recalculate the amount you owe with this really, really significant discount, and that's what you would pay off. So the information is here and on our site, and we're available, obviously, to answer any questions about that. Just put that in your mind also to set up for, at some point, 12 months within your first 24 months. Driver's license conversion is also an important step. In Israel, you can drive on your foreign license here for up to 1 year from your last entry date. It's important to note, not Aliyah date, last entry date, meaning you might have made Aliyah now in August or September, but you were here for, a visit in March, or you were here in February, then that's when that mark starts. And then you can't drive after that 1 year Aliyah mark on your foreign license. It's illegal to do that after that point. So it's really important to be on top of that and to convert your license. As olim, you have 5 years to convert your license in what's called like an expedited process. But again, you can't drive on the foreign license for more than 1 year from your last entry date. To convert your license, you need to have a valid foreign license. If you can show that you've been driving for more than 5 years before your Aliyah date, meaning either your license itself can show 5 years before your Aliyah date, or if you renewed it within that time frame and it doesn't show that date, then you'd need to get a letter from your DMV in your state. Sometimes it's called driving history, driving abstract. It has different names, but you'd get that driving record that can show when it was issued. So again, if you can show that you've been driving for 5 years before your Aliyah date, you'd be exempt from a driving test. And to convert it, there's really 3 main steps. One is to fill out a form online. It's called a Tofes Yarok. It asks a lot of medical questions. If you're going to click yes to any one of those questions, any medical condition or medication that you're taking, you'll need to submit a letter from your Israeli doctor stating that you're fit to drive, that you're under that you have this medical condition or you're taking these medications, but it doesn't affect your ability to drive, and to submit that with the form. Once that's okayed, and I mean okayed, you'll get an SMS. You've applied for your driver's license conversion. Great, you're approved to move forward to the next step. The next step, you'd be sent to get your eyes checked and photo taken in one of their authorized places. Every city has a few places where you can go do that. It all goes onto their computer. And the third step would be physically booking an appointment, which you can do on the My Visit website with Misrad HaRishui, which is the Ministry of Transportation. And you'll bring your Teudat Ole, Teudat Zehut, your license, your valid foreign license and proof of driving for 5 years, and they will convert it for you. And you'll pay the amount for your license, and you'll get a temporary license for a few months while the permanent one comes in the mail. When someone issues an Israeli license here or converts the license is valid until your 70th birthday. After the age of 70, or drivers over the age of 70 who are converting the license, there's an additional medical letter that needs to be filled out by the doctor. We have this online, but it's a form that needs to be printed out. Your doctor fills it in, the optometrist fills it in, and it's something that has to be sent in to the Ministry of Transportation in addition to the other process. So after the age of 70, a license is good for 5 years, and after the age of 80, it is good for 2 years, and every 2 years requires a renewal with a medical letter. So all the information is on our site, but does anyone have any questions about this?
Yes. The medical letter, I believe you said has to be from an Israeli doctor. Will they not accept it from your physician in the United States?
No, they won't accept any letter that's not from an Israeli doctor. You can take your American letter to your Israeli Kupat Cholim doctor and ask him to just write up, tell him I need this for my license conversion. Can you just, can you just write, I'm on this, I'm on this medication or I have this condition, and it doesn't affect my ability to drive. If your doctor can write that you're fit to drive with whatever medical condition, it goes a lot faster than going through medical committees of the Ministry of Transportation. But yeah, just take your letter from your doctor back in the US to your Kupat Cholim doctor here.
But it means you need an appointment with a Kupat Cholim doctor.
Nachon, you need an appointment with a family doctor here from your Kupat Cholim. It has to be from Misrad HaRishuy requirement. It has to be an Israeli letter with the head, with the Kupat Cholim, information stamped by the doctor with all your information on it. That's what they require. So instead of you having to go back and forth with the requirements, then yeah, get the Israeli. Any Rofe Mishpacha, family doctor from your Kupa. And they should be familiar with these type of letters for Misrad HaRishuy for license purposes.
Good, thank you.
Sure. Okay, any other questions about license?
You don't give up your regular American license during this process.
So you don't give it up, no, not at all. You can keep your American license. It's just this way they will issue an Israeli license without requiring lessons, driving tests, theory, all that stuff. By the way, I'll just add that if someone doesn't have 5 years of driving before their Aliyah, then there is a requirement. If it's more than 2 years but less than 5, then you will be required to take a short conversion test. Okay, so that's about license. And then another step which is important is the Israeli passport, to get your Israeli passport. Now, as Olim, you can issue your Israeli passport only 3 months after your Aliyah. You have to wait 3 months or 90 days before you can go and apply for your Israeli passport. Okay, so to book an appointment for your Israeli passport, you can book an appointment in 3 months from your Aliyah date. You can do that on My Visit. You can do that in almost any one of the branches of Misrad HaPnim. And you're going to book an appointment for a Darkon Rishon, a first passport. When you go on to My Visit, you see that there are appointments now for January. So technically you can even book this or after you issue your Teudat Zehut, because you don't want to be blocked on the My Visit system. So again, only after you issued your Teudat Zehut, you can go ahead and book an appointment for even a few months from now to get your Israeli passport. Unlike here, everyone who needs to issue a passport has to be present at the appointment, meaning children as well. If you're issuing passports for them and there's 5 of you, then you need to book 5 appointments. That's why if you book it in advance, you'll have more of an option to book 5 appointments in a row, for future appointments. But for this, everybody needs to attend. You'll need to bring your Teudat Zehut, your foreign passport. No need to bring photos. They take your photos there for your passport. And it takes about, it used to take about 2 weeks. Now it's taking about, 5 weeks to get your passport after this appointment due to delays at the biometric, factory and stuff. So give it a few weeks to get the passport. Passports, when you issue your first passport, it's important to note that passports are only issued for 1 year. For 1 year as a first passport, and then after that, you'll have to go and renew it. What Misrad HaPnim, the Ministry of Interior, is looking at when you go to renew your passport is they're going to look at your Aliyah date. It doesn't matter when you issue the passport, they're going to look at your full Aliyah year. Let's say you made Aliyah on September 1st. So between September 1st and the next September 1st, if you were in Israel for 75% of the year, they're going to renew your passport to a 5-year passport. And you don't have to pay for it again. They're just going to renew it for 5 years. If you haven't been here for 5 years, they will, for 75% of the year, then you will either get another 1 year passport, or something called a Teudat Ma'ava, which is a travel document, which is good for 5 years. It's not a passport, but it's a travel document for 5 years. So again, depends on how much you're traveling, how much you're in the country. If you want to, consult with us about that, feel free, but it's important to know that that's what they will be looking at. And that's why you should also know that your passport, not to be surprised when you see that it's a 1 year expiration date on the first passport. Now, if someone needs to travel in the meantime, between now and 3 months, they used to give a letter, like like a permit for Olim to leave within these 3 months. However, and they might give it to you when you issue your Teudat Zehut. However, there really isn't a need for it today because there's such a backup, as you see on the My Visit website, to get appointments at Misrad Apnim. I don't know if it's because, a lot of people didn't renew passports over COVID. All the Israelis are traveling now. There's like a huge backlog with appointments for passports for all Israelis. And so there's a directive now, an official directive from the Population and Immigration Authority that allows any Israeli citizen who holds a valid foreign passport to travel in and out of Israel with their foreign passport until January 1st. So any traveling you guys are doing until January 1st, you can totally do with your foreign passport. I recommend taking your Teudat Zehut with you in case you need some proof coming back in that you're an Israeli citizen. However, that's until January 1st. So if you made you can go and issue your Israeli passports before January after it's been 3 months. Then you'll have your passport for future travels after January. As Olim and Israeli citizens now, the requirement is to leave Israel on your Israeli passport and to enter Israel on your Israeli passport. So like I said, until January 1st, you're free to do that stuff with your travel with your foreign passport. Are there any questions about traveling and Israeli passports?
What if we're leaving in December and coming back after January 1st?
Then you should be able to re-enter with your Teudat Zehut, to show.
Legally, you're allowed. Legally, you can
legally
get back
you're allowed.
in.
I would recommend if you can issue your passport before you leave, even just issuing it, just so you have it for when you come back, then do that. But legally, you should be able to enter with your Teudat Zehut after that date.
Okay. I have a question regarding the 1-year driving permissibility with your foreign driver's license. You said it's from your last visit to Israel. So let's say we just made Aliyah now, but we visited for 3 weeks in January, and we've been coming almost every year to visit. So how much time do we have? Is it only from this past January or from now?
It would be from January, unless you were also here before January.
We've come every year.
In January?
No, we've visited yearly children in Israel.
Look back 12 months from your Aliyah date. The very first visit you had during that 12-month period, Elisa, if I'm correct, is when your 12-month period begins.
So it means.
So if you look back, let's say you made Aliyah in August.
We made Aliyah 3 days ago.
3 days ago, Mazal Tov. Okay. So if you look back to September of 2021, since then, look at when your your furthest visit was from today, between September 2021 and today, and that's when your 12-month period begins.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And it's not a complicated process to do. So if you want to, go on the safe side of things, go ahead and, convert your license, sooner than later, just so you're set. So that's also, good to do, to get that off and to make sure that, you're set and good with driving.
Thank you.
Okay, so we talked about passport and traveling. The next page here was all the contact info for Misradei Klita that we went over. Okay, on the next pages, we're not going to go over this, but this is all listed here. And we have a lot of information on our website, but all the Aliyah rights and benefits, they all have different time frames of when they start and when they end. You can have the Sal Klita you have to apply within your first year. Rent subsidy, if you're eligible for, starts at month 9 and ends in year 5. The Arnona, we said, is 1 out of the first 2 years. So it's a lot of information, but all this here is all listed here on the guide. So really, I recommend to, go back to this guide every few months to just make sure you're on target with the different benefits and things, that you're not missing out on anything, that you're good with the different time frames, the benefits, and you can really sit and, read what we wrote here and also more information on our site. That's about all your rights and benefits. The next pages, you see they're in yellow here. You can even cut this out and put on your fridge. Hopefully you won't need it, but we did put together some information about like emergency contacts. Obviously, moving to a new country, it can be sometimes challenging to navigate the different systems. We don't have 911 here that you call for everything. We have you dial 100 for the police and 101 for ambulance and 102 for the fire department. So really, if you want to cut this out and paste on your fridge, it's super helpful. We have here the phone numbers of all 4 Kupot Cholim. Also, if you need to get in touch with them, to contact them. Some information about urgent care and ambulance services. Again, I hope no one will need it, but it's over here. Some helpful information. Also, a list of different organizations like Yad Sarah and Shil and the Shira Pransky projects, other organizations that can really be helpful with different, medical or, urgent cases or needs. The municipal coordinators, like I said, municipalities have Olim coordinators in the different cities. We have a list on our website of, how to get in touch with them. So if you haven't heard or don't know if your community, your city has one, you can feel free to go onto this list and you can get the contact information for the Olim coordinators. Okay, and then just some other helpful information of services and organizations. And so I'd say, like I said, we covered a lot of information here. And of course, there's no expectation to remember all of this. It's also, some of these are important things to do as soon as you can. And some of these things are more, for your knowledge for the next, while to be in touch with. But what I really want to point out, and it's probably been here a lot and we've mentioned this, really feel free to get in touch with us. Like I said, we're the Post Aliyah team, and this is what we do. We're happy to assist with any one of these steps or any questions you have. Our number again is *3680. We answer the phone Sunday through Thursday, 9 to 3, and our email answers@nbn.org.il. We're also the Government Advocacy Department. We deal with a lot of government offices to solve different problems and to help smooth different bureaucratic challenges. We have an employment department. There's a wonderful job board on the Nefesh B'Nefesh site, and we have employment advisors who can help with CV and other things. We have a higher education advisor if you're going into higher education with that benefit. If you're a lone soldier or drafting, we have our Army advisor, that's the Lone Soldier Program. And there's a number and email here for them. Community guidance. There's lots of other services and advisors and help that you can receive here from Nefesh B'Nefesh. If you're in Yerushalayim, we have our new campus. Feel free to drop by either as a walk-in or to follow us and see all the follow the Nefesh B'Nefesh campus for lots of different events that we have throughout the year. If you're in Tel Aviv, you should definitely go visit the Tel Aviv Hub. It's a wonderful workspace where you can work there with other Olim and really also meet with some of our Post Aliyah advisors there. It's on Rothschild. We also have different events. Friday night dinner this Shabbat for young professionals, but also other events and other things. You should really definitely go visit there. Really, that's just also how to contact us. The Israel calendar is a wonderful, also, you can also go and sign up for that. It will allow you to get, notices of all the English-speaking events that there are throughout, the week, the month, in different places in Israel, but to really follow different exciting and interesting events. And really just encourage you guys to be in touch. We're here for you to help, to assist, to make this as smooth as possible with all its challenges. So really feel free to be in touch with us. So I want to thank you for joining this presentation with a lot of info. I'm happy to take any questions. Liz and I will stay on for a bit also. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free. If you have to log off and move on to other things, then we wish you the best of luck, a great week, and be in touch if you need us. But we're happy to take any questions that anyone has.
Is Zahava still on?
Yeah.
Hi, Zahava. I'm just curious, which bank did you go to? Which branch that let you open?
The one by the Tachana Markavit.
In Yerushalayim?
Yeah, in Yerushalayim.
Okay, thanks.
I had a question. You mentioned voting earlier. I was wondering if we were eligible to vote, if we had to be in this country enough time.
You should be eligible to vote now that you're in the registry officially, right, with your ID addresses and stuff. Like I said, the registry for voting closes on September 8th. The way it works here in Israel, just so you know, aside from us having elections a lot, is that based on the address on your Teudat Zehut, closer to the election, you're going to receive this postcard to your address And the postcard will have the information on it of where you're voting, if it's a school or a community center or wherever it is that you're assigned to voting in your neighborhood. So you don't have to do anything to sign up or to register. You just wait to get that postcard that will have the information of where you have to go vote. And on the day of voting, you have to bring that postcard and your Teudat Zehut, and you go to where you're assigned to.
Okay, thank
Hi.
you.
Hi, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I think you said something about a website, or maybe I misunderstood, about all English-speaking events. What was that again?
It's called the Israel Calendar. Here, I'll go up to it again, right over here. You can find information about it on our site, and there's a way to, follow it or register to get the updates.
And then that would also, I think you also mentioned there's events in Tel Aviv, English-speaking events. That would also be there?
Yeah, it should also be over there, events we have in the hub.
Okay.
Okay. And if you're living in Tel Aviv, like our colleague Dov is the head of the hub in Tel Aviv. He also has a WhatsApp group for Olim in Tel Aviv. We're happy to pass on your information. Also, you can send us an email and we can put you in touch with him to make sure you're on his mailing list also directly for Tel Aviv updates.
And can you give us the name of that bank one more time where you said people are having luck being able to get to Datsu?
The bank that Liz.
They said, Zahava said,
Leumi.
Leumi near Tachana Markazit in Jerusalem. And then Vera mentioned that she went to Discount Bank, SNF 83 in Tel Aviv.
Okay, discount.
In general, also Mizrahi Tfachot has an English-speaking contact. If you email me at answers@nbn.org.il, then I'd be happy to send you that contact as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions?
I actually have one. I missed the beginning of the session, so I think you might have addressed this, but I was trying to make an appointment on my visit to get a Teudat Zehut, and it seems like I checked, I'm in Givat Shmuel, so I checked Petach Tikva and Bnei Brak, and it looks like they're booked up until February. So I was just wondering how that would work.
Yeah, so we did speak about it in the beginning. But I will just say that don't book anything for so far out. You just need to keep checking the site. My recommendation is checking first thing in the morning. I'm not sure I recommend going to Bnei Brak for your Teudat Zehut. Sometimes I'm not sure if they issue Teudat Zehut, and we've had people who've had a bit of trouble, but definitely look tomorrow morning. They open appointments daily. Sometimes they get taken very, very fast, but check for sure, check Cholon, Ramat Gan, Petach Tikva, check that whole area and check it tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. You'll see they'll be opening appointments. Tel Aviv, they go fast, but they do open regularly. So if you don't see anything tomorrow, check Tuesday. If still you've spent 2-3 days and you really can't find anything soon, then please send us an email with your details and we'll be happy to help you find something.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I don't know if this is the right place to ask, but can you give just a quick rundown of if you have a medical issue, what are the different stops that you make, in different, varying cases of emergency to not emergency at all?
So it depends on the medical issue. It depends on the time of day. It depends on how urgent it is. But in general, when you go get your membership card from your Kupat Cholim, you should really make sure that all the Kupat Cholim have 24/7 numbers. So is it an issue for a family doctor? Is it an issue for an ambulance?
So if you call the 24/7 number, they would tell you the most appropriate.
They're supposed to. Let's say you need now an appointment with a specialist or a family doctor, you'd call your Kupat Cholim and set up the closest appointment for what's available in your area.
Okay.
And if it's in the nighttime, so usually there's hours 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. or something. You have to check with your particular kupa. Your actual kupa has its own emergency clinic, but certainly, like Aliza said, if it's something that God forbid would require an ambulance, you should call 101. And the ambulance will take you to the nearest hospital, and the hospitals take all Kupot Cholim. So yeah, it is, but you know, don't feel like you have to wait till the morning to address something that seems really imminent.
Right. And like I said, there's different, you know, urgent care centers in different cities called Perem, for example. You want to see if your healthcare, if your Kupa covers that, or what's the fee for it. So I really recommend, like, when you go get your membership card, spend some time with your provider, give them orientation. I would also just say there's a lot of competition between these Kupot Cholim, right? So it's in their interest that you're fully comfortable, familiar, and know what services you get and how to navigate the system. Okay.
I have a question about the appointment for Teudat Zeut. So if I want to change my name, how do I do that? I'm not an American citizen, so the information that you have on the Nefesh website doesn't apply to me at all. And I don't have like any legal status in America. I was on F1 visa while I was making Aliyah. So I have Russian citizenship, but I just can't find any information about how to change my name here.
But do you have any like legal documents or stuff in America, or you're not?
I have my marriage certificate from America.
Do you have an American passport?
No, I'm not a citizen.
No, the reason we say is that, like, it's very important to know that if you change your name here, then in certain countries, for example, America, then you're required to change everything there also. It has to go according to your passport. Otherwise, for, you know, if you make a legal name change here, you're required to change it there. So it is a tricky thing, and we don't recommend changing your name. Like, you can be called here whatever you want, but, you know, when you put in your Teudat Zehut, and if you make an official name change, it can affect the country you come from and whatever documents and things you have set up there. I'm not so familiar with, you know, how, you know, if your documents are from Russia, I'm not familiar how they take name changes and things like that. If you want to, you know, be in touch with us, we can try to look into it, just so you know. But unrelated, when someone changes their name, there's a form to fill out at Misad HaPnim. It's called a Tof Shinui Shem, and you do an official name change. You just have to check what effect it has on your other nationality and country.
And is it possible to do it at the Teudat Zehut appointment?
Yes. Yes.
Before they issue it?
Okay. Yeah, but again, just make sure and see if it has any implications on your other nationality.
Okay, then I have a follow-up question right away. So I was in a bit of a complicated situation. So I made Aliyah on the basis of my conversion, and it was a reform conversion from 4 years ago. But then while I was in the process of making Aliyah, I did my Orthodox conversion, but that one was not eligible for Aliyah purposes because it has to be 9 months since the end date of the conversion. And so now I have these two conversions, and I would like to be like written down as like Jewish in the system. I don't know how that works here, but it hasn't been 9 months since it was done. How does that work? Should I just show up there with all of my documents that
So that I don't know. I suggest you give us a call because it's a very, very specific and unique situation. So for us to better like respond, give us a call so we can, you know, get all the details and see, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Can I ask a quick question about medical?
Hi, Avi.
Hi.
I've been the one talking to you all morning.
Hi, good morning and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
If I went back to the US within the first 3 months, and I've already received, obviously by then, Kupat Kolim or Maccabi, is there any benefits when I'm traveling in the US as a tourist now? Would anything carry through in case of emergency while I'm traveling either in the US or overseas once I leave Israel?
You can purchase traveler's insurance through your Kupa. That's
Okay.
like per day.
Through your Kupa or through any other, you
Right,
have
exactly.
to
It
set up
doesn't-
traveler's insurance. There's nothing automatic from your Kupat Cholim that would cover you abroad. You have to go and get traveler's insurance.
Perfect. And then one other question.
My son is not a lone soldier, but he's supposed to go to the army. Is there any way we can talk to someone?
My son is not a lone soldier because we came this week as for Aliyah together. But is there any assistance he can receive pre getting into the Army, or anyone he can speak with?
So he should definitely call the number we have listed here for the Lone Soldier Program, because there are Army advisors, there are specialists on all Army related issues. They're very connected, they're very familiar, they know, and you should definitely say that. I'm a Chayal Avolim who just came this week, but they can definitely give him guidance and help. And if you wanted to meet with them, I'm sure they'd be happy to assist.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Sure.
Avi, I put the information in the chat.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Great. All right, so thank you, everybody. Again, a huge mazal tov on your Aliyah. We're very excited to have you here. Thanks for joining this afternoon, and please be in touch with us if we can help with anything else. We wish you hatzlacha, and a great week.
Can I ask one more question? I'm sorry. So I have my Taudat Zot, but my Sefach is wrong because it's from
your previous Taudat Zot.
Is there an issue? Can I do anything with my Taudat Zot if the Sefach doesn't have the updated information on it?
Well, it depends what. To register your kids for school, for example, you can't do because your sefach's wrong and it doesn't relate to where you're living. But when your husband goes to issue a Taudat Zehut, renew your Taudat Zehut and sefach.
So he was able to get an appointment with Misrad Apnim, right? For him, but I couldn't get one. So we won't be able to do it together, I don't think, unless they're very kind.
I mean, I think you should go with him. I think you should go with him and try, because you're already an Israeli citizen. They don't have to go through all your documents and all that. Right. It depends on the clerk that day and how busy they are. They might just reprint you an updated sefach, because that's not something that should require a lot, and you're in the system. So I would definitely try to be friendly that day and see.
I always try to be friendly.
It's always, I agree with that. That's the best approach. You can't go wrong with that. Again, you'll go in with the assumption that they'll either be able to assist you, or they'll say, I'm sorry, we're too busy, we can't take another person. And if they do that, then ask them, is there a time you can book me to come in to do mine? But I really hope that, because it's just really a matter of a sefach, that they'll be able to assist you at least with, if not getting you like a biometric Taudat Zehut, but just
I have the biometric one. I have the old one.
Right, and that's like that's something that you can do whenever. But I hopefully they'll be able to print out a sefach. They have to link you both also as married and married to each other on the sefach. So it's good that you go with him in any case.
Right.
And see, hopefully there'll be which branch are you going to?
Ramat Gan.
Okay.
That's why he was able to get an appointment. So, but I should still try to continue getting an appointment in the meantime anyway?
I mean, I would go first with him, see if that works. And if it doesn't work, ask them to help you while you're there, book you in the closest appointment. They can do it on their computers without you going home, and you let them see when there's availability.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Aliza, a quick question. If we think of further questions after this session is over, what's the best way to get them to you?
So you can really call the number, the *3680. I'm either answering the phones or one of my colleagues are, and you can ask to be transferred to me. Or in the email, if you email answers, you can always feel free to put it to one of our attentions, to mine, to Liz, or to one of our other colleagues. And again, we're a team here of post-Aliyah advisors who can assist. So if specifically you want to get in touch with me, you can do it that way and just ask for, put my name on it, or ask to be should transfer the call.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us today.
Good session. Thank you.
All right, bye.